Hey, Bulls and Bears, welcome back. It is Sunday, January 2nd, 2022. Happy New Year again to everyone. Ikea is warning of major price increases in 2022. And this path of rising prices and higher costs of living is continuing just as we predicted right here. So, not many of you should be surprised about this news. Let's go ahead and get into the Ikea information first and some other news, some very important news about the food supply, some very concerning things that I think we need to be looking at here. And this one's out of UPI. Ikea increases prices by 50%, citing rising supply chain costs. Now, this wasn't on everything in the store, it was certain products, but the big picture on this is Ikea is warning of more supply chain issues, more rising cost, higher shipping costs, higher transport costs, etc. And you need to really be aware of this for 2022. People said in the new year things are going to start getting better. Folks, just because the calendar flips over from one date to the next, from one year to the other, doesn't mean things are going to get fixed. All right? People do have a lot of hopes for 2022, and hopefully things will get better. But so far, not much at all is being done to try to reverse all the problems that we've seen unfold in the past couple years here. All right, we've got the ongoing health crisis. We've got rising costs, rising energy prices. We've got supply chain issues combined with the labor shortage situation. Bottom line is a lot of people don't want to work. They're still afraid of the health crisis. We still have this big support net that helps people that do not work. The big question is these people that are choosing not to work. We have between 10 and 11 million job openings right now in the U.S. The 100 plus million people out of the labor force. The big question is how long can these people go on fixed incomes? A lot of them are on Social Security. A lot of them took early retirement. A lot of people had to move back in with their family, with their parents. I was talking to some relatives back in Michigan, and this cousin of mine basically got a divorce. So she went from a 2-income household down to just herself, just to one income. Bottom line is she had to move back in with her sister, who had also gotten a divorce. The divorce rate's pretty high in this country. And they had to move in together to be able to afford just the cost of living, to afford housing. And I think you're going to see this when you drive around. You're going to see a lot more cars stacked, parked in the driveway as more people have to move in together to make ends meet. And a lot of people, if they're not working 2 jobs themselves, they're going to need to find a roommate or someone else to split the bills with. And all these divorced people are going to have a tough time living single, living on your own with these prices. More from this article out of UPI. Increased furniture prices come with the broader concerns about the rising cost of living. Doesn't that sound familiar? Now, I was just at Ikea a few weeks ago. I didn't notice a 50% increase in prices. I think that's more of a projection, and I think it's on certain items because not every item is going to be in short supply. And it also depends on the country. Now, that article was talking about the UK. Here in the U.S., things could be a little bit different. Hopefully not as high as 50% of an increase. But most of us should know by now that the U.S., we really don't manufacture much here in the U.S. And in fact, we import. It really should be no secret to anyone that the U.S. trade deficit is exploding because we rely so heavily on imports and we have very little, so little manufacturing still here in the U.S. And until the cost of living starts coming back down, this is going to continue. Companies are going to continue looking to send jobs out of the U.S. Next, still on the topic of rising costs, let's talk about food prices. Why is China hoarding so much of the world's grain? They've been increasing their purchases of worldwide grain, but here, take a look at this article and this chart here, and let's ask ourselves, why China is doing this. China hoards over half of the world's grain, pushing up global prices. And we first started reporting on this a couple years ago when we noticed the big uptick But 2020 was another huge increase as far as food imports to China. What do they know? Why are they boosting their food reserves so drastically? All right, again, no shock, no surprise to probably any of you. Just about everything that we predicted here is continuing to come true. And as far as we can see, it's going to continue into the new year. As far as we can see, as soon as I get some good news that's going to show a reversal of this trend, I would be one of the first ones reporting on it. I promise you that. But until we see some sort of spark, some sort of light at the end of the tunnel, some reversal, maybe new laws will be implemented to pull back on the money printing. But when you have billions and trillions of new dollars being flooded into the economy, and new money that's put into the economy in most cases is put into the economy as debt. And when you have more debt, you have more borrowing. Debt equals borrowing, borrowing equals debt. And therefore, you're going to have more demand, and therefore prices continue to rise. I'm sure most of you should understand how this works. The people that don't understand, the people that never took just a basic economics class, they'll continue to say this is doom and gloom. But in the meantime, I don't want to say 100% accurate. We're about 99.999% accurate, though. Every once in a while, maybe I'll mispronounce a word or something like that. But other than that, we've called all of the economic trends to a T. We've told you the stock market's going to continue to rise, the money printing, the money creation, the digital notes are not going to stop being pumped into the system, into the economy, into the banks, into the trading houses. Companies are not going to stop buying back their own stocks. Stocks will continue to rise. A lot of companies out there are going to continue to leverage on debt and use the profits to buy stock instead of paying off the debt. That way the insiders can continue to sell into the rising price environment. And that's just one of the ways how we see the top 10% continue to gobble up more and more of the world's wealth. And isn't it interesting that all the new debt that we create, how much of that doesn't really help the poor and the middle class? A lot of people still living paycheck to paycheck, most people actually. And we need to ask ourselves, why does all this new money not go to the people that need it the most? Instead, it props up the financial system. We see bailouts from many different industries. We see thousands of canceled flights now in the airline industry over the past few weeks as the ongoing health crisis continues. Will it be more bailouts for the airlines? What kind of lifeline do you or I have, the working person? Well, there's always bankruptcy. And even if you're making out pretty good in the stock market right now, I say this quite frequently, I hope you're making enough gains to outpace this rising price environment. And you're going to need to have a good year to infinity. You're going to have a string of good years to keep up with this, because this situation is getting worse and it's going to continue to escalate as far as I can see here in 2022. So continue to prepare, continue to use caution in the kind of lifestyle that you get into as far as your responsibilities, taking on that new loan, whatever that may be, the new mortgage, the new car payment, starting a family, just basic things like that we need to be really, really careful about. As we see, we're going to continue to see more families moving in together to try to handle this rising price environment, this rising cost of living, rising energy prices, you name it. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope to see you down in the comments. Be well, keep stacking, stay safe, everybody. Thanks for being here. Peace.